He was the lovable goof who brought laughs to millions. But today, Austin Chumlee Russell is trading his reality TV fame for a jail cell. In a tense Las Vegas courtroom, the moment of truth struck like lightning. As the verdict was read aloud, Chumlee collapsed in disbelief, his world crumbling before the stunned eyes of spectators. Gasps filled the air. The silence that followed said it all. No one saw this coming. So, how did one of Pawn Star's most iconic personalities go from prime time to prison time? Buckle up. This is the shocking story of a downfall fueled by bad decisions, legal chaos, and one unforgettable courtroom bray. Now let's talk about the man who turned a pawn shop gig into reality TV gold, Austin Chumlee Russell. As the breakout star of Pawn Stars, Chumlee quickly won over millions with his laid-back vibe, quick wit, and unforgettable one-liners. Whether he was splurging on a vintage pinball machine with his personal video game collection or cracking jokes behind the counter, he brought a level of authenticity and charm that kept viewers coming back for more. But Chumlee's legacy goes way beyond laughs. He helped elevate the gold and silver pawn shop to legendary status, carved out his own brand in the world of collectibles, and became a pop culture icon in the process. From everyday employee to one of TV's most unexpected stars, Chumlee's journey is nothing short of remarkable. If this story has you hooked, don't forget to smash that like button, share it with your friends, and sound off in the comments. We want to hear from you. And be sure to subscribe for daily updates on breaking news and unbelievable real-life stories you won't want to miss. Chumlee's rise to fame wasn't a fluke. It was fueled by raw likability, effortless charm, and a fearless commitment to staying true to himself. While early on he was often cast as the lovable comic relief in Pawn Stars, Chumlee refused to be boxed in. Instead of settling into the background, he dove deep into the world of collectibles, honing his expertise and proving he was more than just a punchline. His dedication paid off, securing his place as a core member of the show's cast and making him a breakout fan favorite. What made Chumlee stand out wasn't just the laughs, it was his heart. His realness resonated with audiences coast to coast, turning him into a household name. And he didn't stop at TV. Chumlee leveraged his fame into smart business moves, launching a successful personal brand that included a candy store, clothing line, and packed public appearances. His entrepreneurial drive earned him millions, money that would later become crucial when he faced a legal storm that blindsided his loyal followers. As Pawn Stars exploded into one of cable TV's biggest hits, racking up over 500 episodes and global streaming success, Chumlee's journey took a different turn. Fame brought new challenges, but it also revealed just how deeply fans connected with him. Everywhere he went, crowds showed up, not just for the show, but for him. Chumlee wasn't just part of a hit series, he was the heart of it. On screen, Chumlee was the fun-loving, easygoing star fans couldn't get enough of. But behind the scenes, a very different story was unfolding. The gap between his public persona and private reality began to widen, creating years of quiet tension. "I've lived two completely different lives," Chumlee later confessed. "Fame makes you feel untouchable. I wanted to enjoy every second of it, especially when people recognized me everywhere I went." That hunger for the high life quickly took over. While Pawn Stars remained grounded in history, deals, and negotiation, Chumlee's real life shifted into overdrive, luxury cars, a sprawling mansion, shelves stacked with rare sneakers and iced-out jewelry. His flashy lifestyle lit up social media, where videos of wild shopping sprees drew millions of views, turning him into a symbol of success, but also excess. It was a far cry from the humble beginnings fans first fell in love with. By the mid-2010s, the contrast couldn't have been clearer. Pawn Stars was at its peak, with special episodes pulling in more than 7 million viewers. At the same time, Chumlee's empire expanded. He launched his own candy shop on the Vegas Strip, rolled out exclusive merchandise, and grew his brand beyond the pawn shop walls. But beneath the surface, the pressure was mounting. The fame, the expectations, the double life, it was all catching up, threatening to send everything he built crashing down. For Chumlee, the fame came fast, and so did the fallout. He often reflected on how jarring the transition was from an everyday guy to a household name, going from nobody knowing me to not being able to walk through Walmart without taking 500 pictures. It drove me crazy, he revealed in a rare, brutally honest interview. I started leaning on things just to get by. It almost cost me everything. While Pawn Stars continued to showcase him as the lovable goofball fans adored, behind the scenes, his life was unraveling. The gap between who Chumlee was on screen and the man he was off camera had become impossible to ignore. By 2016, his personal struggles came crashing into the public eye in the most shocking way possible. That March, Las Vegas police raided Chumlee's home as part of a sexual assault investigation, sending shockwaves through the entertainment world. We executed a search warrant as part of an ongoing investigation, Officer Larry Hadfield confirmed during a press conference, a statement that quickly made headlines across national media. The Chumlee fans thought they knew was suddenly at the center of a spiraling scandal, one that would change his life forever. What authorities uncovered during that raid was more than anyone expected, and it changed everything. While the original investigation focused on a separate issue, what police actually found inside Chumlee's Las Vegas home led to a cascade of new charges. Suddenly, this wasn't just a legal matter, it was a media firestorm. Entertainment outlets jumped on the story, and speculation exploded about the future of both Chumlee and Pawn Stars itself. Just days later, TMZ dropped a bombshell. Multiple firearms, drugs, and drug paraphernalia had been seized from the property. It was a jarring contrast to the fun-loving, innocent image Chumlee had built over years on TV. The revelation stunned fans, many who had watched him grow from a humble shop assistant into a pop culture icon. One fan's reaction on social media went viral. "This changes everything I thought I knew about Chumlee." The incident forced viewers to confront the uncomfortable truth that the person behind the screen wasn't who they imagined. If stories like this fascinate you, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a twist. Share it with your friends and family, because sometimes the most shocking stories are hiding in plain sight. And drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe fame changes people, or just reveals who they really are? To millions of fans, Chumlee was the last person you'd expect to be caught up in serious trouble. On Pawn Stars, he came across as lighthearted, loyal, and harmless. But behind the scenes, the divide between his on-screen charm and off-screen reality was far deeper and more dangerous than anyone realized. And that contrast became the breaking point. In the weeks following the raid, prosecutors moved fast. A full-blown case was built, and multiple felony charges were filed against the reality star, including drug possession and unlawful firearm possession. If convicted on all counts, Chumlee was staring down the barrel of a potential 20-year prison sentence. The stakes weren't just legal, they were personal, professional, and public. His image as a fun-loving TV icon was suddenly in free fall. The entertainment world was stunned. Headlines called it a fall from grace. Legal experts warned that this could be the end of the road for one of reality TV's most recognizable faces. Then came the bombshell from court records. Authorities had uncovered a disturbing arsenal inside Chumlee's home. Multiple firearms, including assault rifles, along with drugs and paraphernalia. But in a dramatic twist, the raid on Chumlee's home wasn't originally about drugs or guns. It stemmed from an investigation into an alleged sexual assault. While no charges were ultimately filed in connection with that allegation due to lack of evidence, what authorities did find during the search painted a disturbing picture. The extravagant, risky lifestyle Chumlee had built behind closed doors was now being framed as a danger to public safety. According to prosecution documents, the sheer volume and nature of the items seized, illegal substances, and an arsenal of firearms warranted the harshest penalties. As the trial began, tension filled the courtroom. Chumlee walked in with a grim face, his once cheerful demeanor gone. Camera flashes captured every somber step. Noticeably absent were his Pawn Stars co-stars, a silence that spoke volumes. The prosecution wasted no time. "Your Honor, this case involves serious violations of controlled substance and firearms laws," the attorney began, laying out the damning list of charges. The defendant's home wasn't just a residence, it was a stockpile of weapons and illegal drugs. The courtroom fell silent as the reality TV star, once beloved by millions, came face to face with the reality of his own undoing. The tension inside the courtroom was palpable. As images of the seized contraband flashed across the screen, the air grew heavy. Chumlee, once the life of the pawn shop, now sat motionless, eyes locked on the floor. Every so often, he shook his head in disbelief as damning pieces of evidence were revealed, each one more damaging than the last. The pressure spiked during cross-examination. "Is it your testimony that Mr. Russell was operating a drug distribution operation?" Chumlee's defense attorney challenged, casting doubt on the intent behind the drugs found. The officer on the stand didn't flinch. He confirmed the volume and variety of substances suggested something bigger than personal use. But when pressed, he admitted no scales, baggies, or distribution lists were recovered, raising serious questions about the prosecution's narrative. Then came the weapons. Testimony surrounding Chumlee's vast firearm collection only deepened the courtroom drama. "Would you agree that Mr. Russell is a known collector of rare and historic items, including weapons?" the defense asked. "Collecting requires licenses and secure storage," replied weapons expert Turley, adding yet another layer of legal complication. Chumlee appeared visibly rattled, fidgeting, leaning in to whisper with his attorney. The judge cut through the murmur with a sharp reminder, "Mr. Russell, you are to remain silent unless called to testify." The reality star nodded, but his pale expression said it all. This wasn't a TV episode. This was real life, and the stakes couldn't be higher. As the trial neared its dramatic conclusion, legal experts took the stand to break down the gravity of the charges, and the outlook wasn't good. They warned that the combination of illegal firearms and controlled substances was a legal landmine, often resulting in lengthy prison sentences. Former attorney James Wilson didn't mince words. "This isn't a minor offense. When you mix weapons and drugs, the law comes down hard." Chumlee's defense team pushed back, leaning heavily on his clean criminal record and the unique pressures of fame. "My client wasn't trying to harm anyone. He got swept up in a lifestyle that blurred the line between normal and reckless," his lawyer argued. "Being a celebrity distorted his judgment. He made bad choices, yes, but he's not a criminal. He's a good man who lost his way in the spotlight." With closing arguments approaching, fans across the country were glued to the coverage. This wasn't just another court case. This was the possible collapse of a beloved reality TV icon. Chumlee wasn't a villain in their eyes. He was the relatable, harmless guy they'd laughed with for years. And now he was fighting not just for his freedom, but for his legacy. As the trial reached a boiling point, plea negotiations became the heart of the courtroom drama. Tensions ran high as attorneys on both sides engaged in intense, behind-the-scenes talks. searching for a resolution that could spare Chumlee from the harshest outcome. But this wasn't just about jail time. The ripple effects of the case extended far beyond Chumlee's personal freedom. His career, his fortune, and his future on Pawn Stars were all hanging in the balance. With millions in potential losses, a reputation on the brink, and an uncertain future in television, the stakes couldn't have been higher. On the final day, the courtroom was overflowing. Fans packed the gallery, some holding handmade signs of support, others dressed in Pawn Stars merchandise, hoping to catch one last glimpse of the man they'd come to love. The energy inside was electric as Judge Michael Davidson took the bench. The moment had arrived. Chumlee, now visibly tense, sat quietly as the judge began reviewing the terms of the plea deal. After agreeing to plead guilty in the state case, all eyes were on Davidson as he weighed the details, carefully considering the aggravating evidence, but also the mitigating factors that painted a fuller picture of the man behind the headlines. You could hear a pin drop in the courtroom. The tension was so thick, even the soft rustle of paperwork echoed through the silence. Chumlee slowly rose to his feet, his hands trembling ever so slightly at his sides. With a solemn voice, he pleaded guilty to 1 firearms charge and 1 minor drug offense. The judge continued, announcing that all remaining charges would be dropped as part of the negotiated plea deal. Chumlee's face stayed locked in a tense, unreadable expression as his attorneys traded cautious glances. But the judge wasn't finished. With a firm tone, he made it clear. The offenses, illegal substances and unregistered firearms, posed a serious threat to public safety and couldn't be brushed aside. The sentence, 3 years of probation, mandatory counseling, routine drug testing, and permanent forfeiture of all items seized during the raid. But then came the gut punch, an unexpected twist that sent a chill through the room. Any violation of his probation terms would trigger an automatic 3-year prison sentence. No second chances, no further hearings. The judge's voice rang out. "Mr. Russell, you are hereby sentenced to 3 years of probation under strict supervision. Any violation will result in immediate incarceration for 3 years. Do you understand these terms?" This was the gut punch Chumlee never saw coming. After months of chaos, courtroom drama, and the looming threat of decades behind bars, the judge's final words hit like a freight train. Though spared from prison, for now, the weight of it all came crashing down in that moment. He had come terrifyingly close to losing everything. And now, his freedom depended entirely on walking a razor-thin line of perfect compliance. His face went ghostly pale. Beads of sweat glistened on his forehead as the judge listed the final terms. 200 hours of community service, mandatory supervision, 0 tolerance for any misstep. But Chumlee barely heard the words. The judge's voice began to fade into the background, replaced by the pounding in his ears. The walls of the courtroom seemed to close in. His attorney placed a steadying hand on his arm, sensing something was wrong. But it was too late. Chumlee's knees buckled, and he collapsed forward, gasping for air. Panic swept through the courtroom. Security raced to his side as the once larger-than-life TV personality struggled to breathe, the sound of his labored gasps echoing off the marble walls. Medical personnel rushed through the gallery, clearing space as cameras flashed. Someone shouted for water. Paramedics swarmed in. Within seconds, headlines exploded across the internet. Chumlee collapses in courtroom meltdown. The man who brought laughter to millions was now sprawled on the courtroom floor, overwhelmed by the crushing reality of his fall from grace. The emotional toll of the legal storm had finally broken through, live, raw, and unforgettable. Outside the hospital, a familiar face made a quiet appearance. Rick Harrison, Chumlee's longtime friend and Pawn Stars co-star, stopped by for a brief but heartfelt visit. Meanwhile, fans gathered in clusters nearby, many still reeling from the courtroom chaos. The shocking collapse had completely overtaken the legal outcome, with entertainment outlets and social media erupting in a frenzy of concern. Within hours, platforms were flooded with messages of support. Hashtags like #Stay Strong Chumlee and #Pawn Stars Family trended worldwide as thousands of fans poured out love and encouragement. The courtroom verdict was no longer the headline. Chumlee's health and the emotional weight he'd been carrying became the story everyone was talking about. 3 days later, with his voice shaky but his signature grin back in place, Chumlee appeared in a video message filmed from his home, facing the consequences of my actions. "I guess it triggered something in me," he said, trying to lighten the mood. "The doctor says I've got to make better choices. He's not wrong." That brief clip signaled more than just a recovery. It marked a turning point. The collapse didn't just shake Chumlee physically, it seemed to spark something deeper, a shift. And for the first time in a long while, fans saw not just the entertainer, but the man behind the screen ready to rebuild. The History Channel didn't walk away from the controversy. It leaned in, carefully and quietly. While official statements remained neutral and vague, refusing to confirm Chumlee's future on Pawn Stars, behind the scenes, a different conversation was happening. According to a well-placed insider, network executives didn't see the legal storm as a public relations disaster. They saw potential, a rare opportunity to craft something few reality stars ever achieve, a genuine redemption arc. In an age where scandals are often career-ending, Chumlee's fall from grace offered something different: raw vulnerability, a deeply personal reckoning, and a story millions could relate to. He wasn't a villain, he was a man who had lost his way, and the world had watched him find his footing again. For a network built on history, this was a new kind of storyline, one not just about artifacts and deals, but about resilience, consequence, and rebirth. Then came Chumlee's statement, his most honest to date. Gone was the comic relief fans had known for years. What emerged was a man stripped of ego, humbled by experience, and ready to own his past. "I let my reputation cloud my judgment. I made mistakes that could have cost me everything," he admitted, his voice heavier than fans had ever heard. "But I'm grateful, truly grateful, for this second chance, and I promise my fans, I won't waste it." The words landed like a punch to the gut. It wasn't a media spin. It wasn't crafted by a PR team. It was real, and it resonated. The entertainment world began to buzz with a new kind of curiosity, not about his downfall, but about what he'd do next. Because in that moment, Chumlee wasn't just a reality TV star trying to salvage his image. He became something more powerful, a man confronting his past, taking responsibility and daring to rebuild in front of the world. And for fans who had grown up with him on screen, that vulnerability wasn't weakness. It was strength, the kind that turns a scandal into a comeback and a name into a legacy. The entertainment world lit up with speculation the moment Chumlee's statement hit the internet. Was he coming back to Pawn Stars? Was this the start of a redemption arc unlike anything reality TV had seen before? Rumors swirled across media outlets, with industry insiders weighing in. Many agreed. If there was one reality star capable of flipping a public scandal into a powerful comeback, it was Chumlee. His journey had already captured millions, and now it was entering a bold new chapter. Social media exploded with support. Longtime fans flooded comment sections with words of encouragement, sharing their favorite Chumlee moments, expressing empathy, and even creating hashtags like Bring back Chumlee and Kakar's second chance star. For many, his appeal wasn't just about entertainment, it was about relatability. He was never the polished celebrity. He was the guy next door who found fame but kept his quirks, his humor, and his heart. At a time when cancel culture dominates headlines, Chumlee's ability to confront his mistakes publicly and with humility struck a chord. His story was no longer just about what he had done. It was about what he was becoming. People love a good comeback, and Chumlee's vulnerability, accountability, and willingness to grow gave fans something even better: hope. Though neither Chumlee nor the History Channel confirmed any official return or timeline, his response spoke volumes. "Right now, I'm focused on staying healthy and making better choices," he said in a heartfelt message. "The show has been my family for years, and I hope to make them proud again." It was clear. This wasn't about chasing the spotlight. This was about redemption, rebuilding, and proving to himself and others that he could rise from his lowest point. The message couldn't have been more powerful. Chumlee's story wasn't ending. It was just beginning a new, deeper, more authentic chapter. One shaped not by fame, but by resilience. And if the world loves anything, it's watching someone rise from the ashes stronger than ever. What was once feared to be the end of Chumlee's career has unexpectedly evolved into a powerful turning point. The legal battle that nearly derailed his life has now reignited public interest, not just in Pawn Stars, but in the man behind the fame. Support continues to pour in from fans around the world, many of whom are rooting for his comeback, eager to see the return of the down-to-earth, lovable character who helped turn a humble pawn shop into a global television phenomenon. But for longtime viewers, this story is about more than one man's fall. It's about what happens when reality TV becomes too real. Chumlee's dramatic collapse in court wasn't just a viral moment. It was a deeply human one. It marked the unraveling of a public persona that had been carefully built over years, one that masked personal battles few ever saw. For the first time, fans weren't just watching a cast member. They were seeing the real Austin Russell, a man broken, humbled, and trying to put the pieces back together. His story now stands as a cautionary tale about the intoxicating highs and devastating lows of fame. It's a raw reminder that behind every reality star is a reality far more complex than any episode can show. And it forces us to ask a deeper question. How much does the spotlight distort judgment? And can a person ever fully reclaim their identity once fame fades? What do you think? Is it possible for someone like Chumlee to bounce back and write a new chapter? Do you believe in second chances, even after public failure? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, share this story with someone who loves Pawn Stars, and don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories that go far beyond the screen. Because sometimes, the most powerful stories are the ones that aren't scripted.